Hello, 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 you guys, and welcome to another episode of Dear Black Woman, the podcast where we celebrate, explore, and navigate the stories and experiences of Black women across the globe. I am Cammie Red, joined by my co-hosts Lauren Edwards and Tenisha Mercer. Today, we're diving into a topic that's close to many of our hearts. Black love matters. From self-love to romantic connections and community support, we're going to explore the beauty, the challenges, and resilience that define Black love in all its form. So I want you to grab your favorite drink, if that's coffee or tea or whatever, get comfortable, and let's have an honest conversation about why Black love is powerful, transformative, and worth celebrating. So let's welcome our co-host to the show. Hello, Lauren. Hello, Tenisha.
Hey.
What's the weather like where you are?
It is about almost 50 degrees, still a little cold, but the weather is gray and cloudy.
Yeah, it is here too.
Mine is just wet.
Yeah, it snowed in Atlanta again. We got locked in for the past few days. It's just opening back up today. And as I was telling Lauren before we started the show, everything is still closed because we Georgians, we don't do cold at all.
I've been seeing Louisiana. They've been like, oh my goodness, between Atlanta and Louisiana, like New Orleans and Alabama, like it's been hilarious on social media.
Used to it. No one's used to that kind of weather. This is what I'm saying.
Southern. Do you know we've had two snowstorms? Yeah, we've had two.
Comes in and you look get snowstorms on a regular now.
They said if Trump got reelected, hell was going to be frozen over, and the South is hell. So it's currently frozen over. All right. Listen, but no, ladies, today we are talking about Black love. And I think that's just a really important topic to talk about right now in the climate of my life in the United States and your lives abroad. What does Black love mean to you, and how has your understanding of it evolved over time? Tenisha, we'll start with you.
I think Black love is definitely can be considered to be radical when you think about it. Two Black people getting together, it can be a radical thought, a radical viewpoint. I think just Black love, it can change over time, like depending upon your feelings about yourself, because that's a big part of it too, right? Mm-hmm. Your feelings of self. But it evolves. It evolves. I still think with all the stuff that we have going on with, Trump or whatever, it is going to be even more important that we lean on each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Love from the perspective of not just romantic relationships, but communal relationships as well.
Absolutely.
I think right now, Black women need to find a way to love on each other as much as possible. We keep talking about the 92% here in the United States, but we're forgetting that it's Black women all over the world. Yeah, Tenisha, you're American, but you live in France, and you still feel the effects of the things that happen here in America as well. So, yeah, it is. Go ahead.
I do. I mean, I was telling someone earlier today, I was actually talking to my therapist, and my therapist is actually based in the UK. And I was telling her, I was like, I feel stressed. I feel stressed because my friends and family are stressed. My family, even though I'm here, my family is all in America. Yeah. So, it would be nice to kind of bubble wrap myself, but I can't.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you this morning, and I'm probably driving up my own anxiety, and I already have a lot from me. In less than 20 something days, I'll be moving out of the country. There's already a lot of built up anxiety about that. But from a self-reflection, I know that I am, and this is also the journalistic hat in me as well. I'm driving my own anxiety because I am behind the scenes doing a lot of research. I'm reading about what's going on here in the United States. I'm reading about the laws. I'm reading about all of that. So it's causing stress within me, even though I'm trying to say oh no, I'm good, I'm okay. We're all, and I know everyone here in America,
because your loved ones and the people you're leaving behind are still going to be part of that cycle, and that's what Tanisha's saying. I think when it comes to like Black love, for so many years and so many external factors have tried to rip that apart. So whether it be the Black household, the Black family, the Black partnership, the Black friendships, the sisterhood, the every aspect, the mother, the children, every aspect, we've always been pulled apart. So I think it's going to take Black love. When we talk about Black love, I think it's going to take a lot of rebuilding. I think more people are becoming more aware of what's going on. But I think every time we start to get going and start getting that momentum going, we have something quite big and distractive that comes along and distracts us. So I think it's our responsibility to not allow that to happen, because it tends to be something that continuously happens with us. We feel like we're making some kind of strides. We feel like we're coming together. We feel like, look, the George Floyd situation, everyone was like, we're coming together. You know, it was a massive movement. We were coming together.
And it wasn't just the United States movement.
It was global. It was a massive movement. And what I'm saying is, it wasn't just about, you know, black and white. It was about right and wrong. But what we understood was whether or not, you know, you're either with us or not with us. You know, we're doing our thing as Black people. We're doing our thing. We're coming together. Where's that gone? Where's that energy gone? What's happened?
So it goes back to what we said. I think, and I've stated this on several other podcasts, where we'll slide back into our regular everyday lives, and regular everyday lives looks like worrying about what goes on in your four walls and your four walls only. So when we talk about Black love, and we talk about, yes, we focus a lot on relationship type love, on intimate type love, but we never really focus on communal love, on what it means to have Black love as a community. Yes, there are those of us out there
always fight, not fight. No, that's the wrong word. Compete.
Yeah. And
for so many years, it's in our DNA to compete in every aspect.
And it's not, and this is where we get it in both community and in intimate relationships. It's not just community that we compete. Black men and Black women compete with each other as well.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what relationship, what dynamic. You've got mothers and daughters that are competing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about the dynamic. What I'm saying, we as a people, me as a community, us as a race, we compete. And that, how do you change that? How do you break that cycle? And that's extremely hard, because we've had it for hundreds and hundreds of years.
It's ingrained in us. It was brainwashed into us. It's something that I would dare to even say is in our DNA at this point.
It is.
And the reason why I say that is because we all know that trauma is stored in your DNA. So anything that has been going on for over 400 years is now stored in our DNA. And I think it's in our DNA, that competition that we feel towards each other. Even though you and I discussed this before, I'm building a platform that is just Black women, how Black women can reach out and support each other, this, that, and the third, do this, and how we can be of assistance to each other. But even within this platform that we've been building, there's been sense of competition, and we've had to kill that and say, hey, listen, we're not competing. We're watering each other. We're flowering each other. This is what we're here to do. Nobody here is your competition. We're all your sisters. And it's our responsibility to pull you up and help you just as much as it's your responsibility to pull us up and help me. No, I am not my sister's keeper, but I am my sister, meaning that I know what she goes through. I know what her struggles are. I know that sense of feeling like you're putting your all into something and you're not getting anything in return. So if I am my sister, it's my responsibility to show my sister love. And that's literally how I feel, and why I built this platform, the Dear Black Woman brand. is because I want to show my sisters love. I want to be able to have a place where we all can be seen, where we're all valued, where we all shine. And I think that's what we need to start leaning into when it comes to communal love. I think it would work in intimate settings as well. But the one thing that I know people don't do anymore is they don't lead with love. They lead with self.
Yeah, and as Mike said the other day, it's transactional. Everything's got a transaction.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, it's a hard one, because I do believe that, you know, behaviors can be unlearned. They can be, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's something that's going to happen over, and also we have to remember we are moving a lot more. We're mixing a lot more. We are changing a lot more. So when we talk about Black love, it is very relevant, but is it relevant in some people's eyes? And that's where the other side of it is. You get what I mean? So some people are just like, hey, you know, I live in, you know, this part of the world, and I live in Sweden. We don't really have a lot of other Black people in Sweden. So, you know, my preference is going to be someone who looks European or Caucasian. Do you get what I mean? So that's me. That's what I'm about. And that's my
environmental.
That's who I love. And that's who the people I want to be around and surround myself with. And that's what I'm saying. We are moving a lot now. So
well, I'm going to say this, and Tenisha, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like even with me moving to Vietnam, it was very important that I connected with a Black community where I was moving to. The reason why is there are things that they can relate to that other people or other cultures can't relate to in my life. So
some don't want to. Some don't want to relate. This is what I'm saying. Some don't want to relate. They are looking for an escape, because it's, once again, Black love comes from self-love.
Yeah, I was just going to say. Then if you're running from the Black community, if you're trying to escape and find something, that has nothing to do with community. Then and that has nothing to do with relationships. It's got everything to do with self. So
and that's,
when we talk about
like you know, Black men or Black women having preferences of different races or different cultures, that's fine. It's when they bash their own.
Yeah.
In order to justify what they're doing with the problem. So that's where the issue comes from.
Let's tackle this from one perspective to it. So let's first talk about self-love, because that's something that if we were having a conversation about self-care or about mental health, that is something we would talk about, self-love. So self-love in the Black community can be a very difficult thing when the world is telling you that you should be something else and you're better off with something else, or you're better off this way, or you're better off that way. So how can people in the Black community, and this is just a general question, it's not my question, because you know my answer to this question. I believe that therapy and healing is needed for all, but how can people in the Black community start to really dive into self-love? Before you get into loving anybody else, before you get into communal relationships, familial relationships, before you get into intimate relationships, where do we start with just love of self? Love of
Go for it. Go for it, Tenisha. And Tanisha's like tick, tick, tick.
I think it is a radical concept. That Black self-love is a radical concept, because like you said, Cammie, everyone tells you the messages you get from a very young age about yourself, your body, your skin,
your hair, your lips. It's not until you get older that you realize that they replicating everything they told you.
I was gonna say
exactly that part. So it takes being intentional, being really intentional, and purposely going out there and focusing on not just the physical, but other parts that I think make us who we are. So you have to be really, I think you have to be really intentional with it, because the world is, I don't care what country you're in, it's beating us all, right? It's beating us all down.
And that's why I
believe if you can just do something small that empowers you, that is the first, I think that's the first step. So like I said, I own business. I own a few businesses. Nobody expects my face to walk through the door as an owner, as a business owner. They don't see that. So but it makes me feel proud. It makes me stand up. It makes other people who work for me who say, yeah, you know, and she doesn't think she's better. She just realizes that she has worth, just like I do, and just like I do. And so it's little things you can do for yourself that it might mean educate yourself, just education, make yourself feel better, dive into the therapy. We're always talking about therapy on this show.
Yep, and that's what I was going to say.
That can unlock so much that allows you to not just look at the negative, but look at the positive. Understand your journey, understand where you're going or what you want to do or the things you want to, I wouldn't say change, but alter, you know, but there's so much small things. And then we need to learn to keep the door open for others. We are like crabs in a bucket as a community. And when I say crabs in a bucket, I mean, we're all trying to climb to the top and we will happily climb on someone else to get out of that bucket,
will. Yes, right? We will.
Yep. And that's a massive issue. And I don't know if it was Dr. Umar. I mean, you know, I ain't going to lie. I do listen to him.
I do too, which is why I tried to get him for the show.
I think one of the things he said was, one of the situations that happened during slavery time was that the slave masters would release a certain amount of slaves every year, small amount, 2 or 3, I don't know, whatever. But the way in which they got released was based on a system that they told on others.
Yep.
That they basically scored points. They were informants, yeah. So if we've had that ingrained in us for hundreds and hundreds of years, the same things happening now. The same things like, oh, you know, as soon as someone's making it, oh, let's bring them down, because there's not enough space for all of us.
So what I gather is, here's the thing. And I'm just going to give a couple of quick tips, not even real like things that I think people should do. But I think a lot of women struggle with appearance when it comes to self-love. And I think now we're seeing the revolutionary women who are walking around proud of their natural hair, proud of the way they look naturally, you know, walking into the world saying, hey, this is me, this is who I am, this is who I'm going to be. And I think a lot of women need to sort of, and I'm not saying that you don't, but I think we need to take heed to that and say, okay, hey, listen, accept me for who I am, because this is who I am unapologetically. This isn't something that I am pretending to be. This isn't something that I'm cosplaying. I saw a video of, and they make fun of us, by the way. So that also plays a part in it as well. Saw a video of Roseanne Barr bragging about, you know, the fact that Trump won the election, and they're all in the video cosplaying Black people. She's got long braids, they've got cornrows, they got this, they've got that. They're cosplaying us and making us look like we're the joke. When that's who we are. That's my heritage. That's my hairstyle. That's my look. That is me. That's not I'm not an actress. This isn't prosthetics. I didn't put on a wig to look this way. I was born this way. So to see you cosplaying me can also play a huge part on my self-love, because what you're saying is my look is I guess a trend or something that you would put on just to play in a Halloween character, when that is my look every day.
But we have to start educating ourselves. We keep handing over this power to other people that are saying they can, they make fun of us. They are the ones who are breaking us down. They. Yes, they. We've known for years and years and years that external factors are doing this to us. External other cultures, other environments, countries, whatever. This has been hundreds of years of it. We have to start taking responsibility, and like you said, just by something basic, by coming out and saying this is us, like it or don't like it.
Yeah,
because
like what?
If we keep handing the power over for them to say we accept you,
I think what it's almost like, okay, so I talk a lot about, how we all have trauma and we have issues. So I'm going to be transparent with you guys on this. I have father issues. We've discussed that before about Black women having daddy issues, but I don't have daddy issues to the point that most women do. My father raised me, so that's something totally different. I think Black people are like my father issues. I had a very controlling father, America, and I'm constantly, and this is what I found out through my therapy, I'm constantly looking for approval from my father. So Black people are constantly looking for approval from the colonizer, and we need to stop looking for and not just from the colonizer. I'm going to say from others as well. We got to stop looking for approval from others and start just approving of ourselves.
This is true.
Yeah, like I think a lot of the self-love that we're looking for is not self-love. I think a lot of what we're looking for is validation from other cultures, validation from Europeans, validation from our colonizer that we are okay as we are. And we don't need validation. I don't need validation for you to tell me that I'm dynamic. No, bitch, I'm dynamic. Period.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because if I wasn't dynamic, you wouldn't be emulating me. But we have, that's what I'm trying to say. The joke's on us.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
The joke's on us because we haven't got enough strength, power,
self-love.
Yeah. If you've been looking for approval, you're going to be looking for it all your life. And that's just it. You can't, that's just it. Look, I mean, we went back to the whole George Floyd situation. We came together, everyone was strong about it. It was but we were still looking for them to make changes, to change the way they view us. Change.
You see what I'm saying? We are looking for validation and for approval from the very people who are telling us that we are not good enough. Our hair is too curly. Our braids are not professional. Your lips are too full. Your nose is too big. Your skin is too dark. We are looking for them to say, oh no, your skin color is fine. Oh, it's okay for you to wear your curly hair. We literally had to get a law passed.
I don't know how it is in France, but I know in the UK, we've had a lot of schools sending children home because of their hair. I don't know if they've done that in the States, or Tenisha, they've done it in France. But like, you might have a girl. I mean, I know my niece, her school.
We talked about this. We talked about this on one episode before when we were talking about beauty standards. Yes.
My niece goes to a school predominantly white, and there was a Black girl, and her hair was short, and it couldn't go back in one, but they kept telling her she has to have her hair back in one. She got afro hair, and it's like that she needs to change it or get braids so that she can put it back in one. And what?
I think it's probably a universal experience. It's a universal experience, no matter where you are.
That happened in the States then, and
I told you about how they cut this boy's hair in Texas because he had dreadlocks, and his coach cut his hair. And they sent him to an alternative school, another boy to an alternative school because of his locks, because he refused to cut his hair.
Yeah.
So if you're telling me that my hair dictates where I go to school, dictates if I can play sports, dictates everything about me. And the norm is for me to have a Caesar cut or a fade. That's not my culture.
What was you about to say, Tanisha? Sorry, go on.
I just think we catch hell wherever we are. I can't say any specific examples here in France. I think they're more so on like, what is the head covering, the Muslim head covering,
hijab.
The hijab. Yep, they definitely are on that. And but I think just in general, wherever we are, it's an issue somewhere.
It don't matter, like, Tanisha, if it's the hijab, if it's my afro, if it's your braids, if it's somebody else's locks, it's not going to matter. It don't matter where we are in the world. Something that we're doing.
But once again, Cammy, going back to, see, I always look, he is a controversial character, right? So I don't like keep bringing him up. But he makes the point. If you haven't got your own, then you can't complain, because we're not building our own standards. We're not building to our own people. We're not building to where that little boy, that little girl can come in dreadlocks or braids, and it's just part of our life, you know. I remember even
I got another example.
My friend's son at school said something, and then he said to his teacher, "Oh, he'll get beaten with the Hoover." Yeah. So obviously the school rang, and he's like, "No, it's fine. It's part of our culture."
Yeah.
And the teacher rung them up. Now, what I'm saying, like, you know, our whooping was part of what happened when we grew up, right? This is part of culture.
That's also a conversation that we have when we're dealing with foster care kids and dealing with the Child Protective Services and Department of Family and Children Services as well. Yeah. Is that our culture, our words, the way we handle things is not always understood.
No.
So we're
and it's not always right. It's not always right, but it like I said, if we're not building our own, we can't then expect someone else.
That's what I was getting ready to say. When you said that, this is what I wanted to say. Recently, here in the United States, there was a real estate developer in Ohio who was racially profiled by his neighbors. He has one of the biggest houses in a well-to-do neighborhood. White lady walking her baby and dog and whatever animal at night. Was walking by his house. He's trying to pull into his house. She's thinking that he's following her. She walks up to his doorbell, rings the doorbell. He's asking her, what does she need? What does she want? All of this stuff, right? So he comes, she goes running down the street screaming, help, 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 because he's pulling into the driveway. This is his house. And she asks, do you live here? And he says, yes. And she said, I don't believe you. Now, all of this was caught on ring cam, okay? The reason she didn't believe him is because he had dreadlocks in his hair. He was a black man. This was a very affluent, well-to-do neighborhood. One of the things he said in his interview with Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco was that now he's really considering the fact that we need to build our own communities and our own things for ourselves so that we are not targets of other people's hate.
But see, I countered that though, because he's a real estate developer, right? This man. Mm-hmm. I didn't watch that video. Those things to me are so triggering. Mm-hmm. I just think they're trauma. Yeah. And just like in the US, they're fine with playing George Floyd getting killed over and over again. They're fine with the racial trauma playing. I think that every example we have of us building our own is always destroyed. Yeah. And so when you look at just Black American history, Tulsa, when you
Rosewood,
Rosewood,
let's go all the way back to what they've done every time we try to build our own.
Every time we do it, every time.
They just
I was having a discussion the other day with my friend, and I said, you know, we was talking about even the Caribbean side of things. Mm-hmm. And anytime you get people graduating as doctors, as nurses, as all of that, where'd they go? To the States, to Canada, and the UK. As soon as they graduate. So they never stay in the place in which they've graduated and helped build it up. They move on. They move out.
I get it. They never stay in places that they're needed in our communities.
But
they
not just
always go
needed.
somewhere else.
You can listen. If I go to Jamaica, or I'm in Cape Verde in Africa, or I'm in Ghana, or no one's saying that. You know that black girl. No one's saying that.
Mm-mm.
No one's saying that. There's not a conversation. Oh, you know that African American. You know that. That does not come into the conversation at all. You will not look at a TV. Oh, another black African American killed in Ghana. No, because we are removing that part of our color and our skin, because we are amongst people that
look like
the same.
Yeah.
So this is why I say we have to change. I looked at it and I say, Cammy, you know what? As much as you guys say about build your own black neighborhoods, the States and Canada, they have a hell of a lot more black neighborhoods than the UK or probably parts of France. And if you have got it, that we always moaning like you've not got no like wealth, not wealthy, but you have got like a middle class, like
an affluent area,
or affluent area in the UK that is predominantly black. No, it ain't happening. The only places you got that are predominantly black in the UK are
hood,
like social housing, basically. They put people together if you're in social housing. But if you are certain, as soon as people get money, it just and you find, like he said, the average black man, he's going with his white wife and then moving to a lovely area, and that's it. And he might be the only black in the village. And the same with a white woman. She's moving with her a black woman. She's moving with her white husband. She's the only black in the village. And it's so disheartening. That's how we never get to build. We never get to build anything.
So when I talk to black women here in the United States now, I talk about some of the things that you talk to me about and that we talk about on this show. And I'm often telling black women here that we are the prototype for other black women around the world. We think that we have it so horribly and so bad, but as I'm starting to learn, we are the prototype. We are the ones that black women all over the world are looking up to, because we are
in some aspects.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. It is things like what's happening now with you guys politically that make us.
But you can't look at black women for that.
No.
As you see, black women have disassociated themselves with the United States at this point.
Yes,
they call themselves the 92%. They are not associating with,
and that's what's going to redeem, I think. Where it's like, because like I said, I think we look and we're like, what's going on over there?
Because here you have, like, when I say you guys look up to us, or we're the prototype, we are the most educated in our country.
Yes.
We are the most solo entrepreneurs in our country.
Yes.
We and even though it's been
on your trailblazers for things like hair.
Yeah, and I was going to say, even though it's seen as negative, we are raising families by ourselves and doing damn good at it here in our country. Yeah. So yes, I get it. But then you got to remember, we're fighting in our country. We're still fighting for ourselves in our country. Those lanes that we have carved, trailblazing this, changing that, doing this, that's because we were not accepted. We're not accepted, and we're not loved.
Yes, so you have to, like I said, but who do you need to be loved by? This is why we need to change the way we're thinking.
And again,
we're talking about that. Who is it that we need to be loved by? Our family, our peers, the politicians, the leaders of the community. Who is it we're looking for this love from? And when you understand where you're looking for the love from, then
I can answer that. I can actually answer that. I can. We're looking for the love from each other. And see, that's the part where we miss. Whenever we use the word love, we instantly go to this mindset of intimate relationships, partners, couples. That's not where that's not the love that we need. The love that we need and the love that keeps us going and growing comes from communal and familial love. So that goes back to, again, self-love. If you are from a place where your family doesn't practice self-love, where your community doesn't practice self-love, it's going to be hard for you. Yes, it's achievable. Yes, you can get it, but it's going to be hard for you to love and accept yourself.
You find being in France, you get a good connection of do black people come together more in France, or?
I think it depends. I think my experience as being Black American is always going to be different. And so my experience as a Black American is that when I see another Black person, especially if I'm in like, let's say majority white area or whatever, we look to each other as protection. Mm-hmm. The difference in our culture is like, I can spot us everywhere, right? The difference is when I'm here, you have much more people from all these different countries in Africa, and they see themselves as like, okay, you're Senegalese, I'm Senegalese, you know, I'm from Cote d'Ivoire, you're from Cote d'Ivoire. It's very much
cliquish.
But it's kind of like, but I can understand it because we are.
It's self-love. That's what it is.
It is. It's like we have we have the same situation, right? So I'm from Cali, you from New York, you know, I'm from Chicago, I'm from Detroit. We all have this combined heritage that doesn't exist really anywhere else. So when you come up like here, I mean, like I said, it's more so like country based.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll say, well, Nigerians stick together. You'll say, well, okay, Jamaicans stick together or whatever. It's just different. And so my experience is going to be different. So I had to realize that, because I would see people and I would be like, you know, like, hey, and it's like, okay, you know, it's different. It's different. And I had to realize that my experience, I can't duplicate my experience here.
Yeah. In the UK growing up, there was a massive like when I was growing up and from young teenage, there was a massive thing where Caribbeans and Africans, we used to just clash. Like we would cuss each other, you know, look at you, African, you know, look at you, you know. And also like culturally, if an African boy brought home a West Indian or Caribbean girl, it's a problem. Like it don't, and vice versa, it's a problem. It's now becoming a bit more acceptable, but imagine that we're not being looked at as Black. We're looked at now as, oh, well, you're from. But they used to look down, actually. They used to look down at Caribbean people. People from Africa looked down on Caribbeans and did do for a long time. You know, they prefer you to be with a white person other than a Caribbean person.
But see, I see that as like a colonizer issue, right? That's a colonizer issue because, I mean, about like France, I say, you know, they're colonizers. They just speak French, right? Mm-hmm. There's no difference. When you go to the U.S., it is tension between, you know, Caribbean, Black American, African.
And that's what I was going to ask.
It's the same blueprint everywhere. You know, we have been taught to not trust each other, and we have to recognize the cultural differences. If I'm from Jamaica, right, versus I don't know, Jamaica versus what's the good example? Martinique. We have different. We may share the same skin color, but we have different experiences.
I beg to differ. I think we were having this conversation, and once again, I think it's all kind of fine margins because, you know, me and my friends, we had like some discussions the other day about like I'm from, like my parents are from Jamaica, my friends from Grenada, St. Lucia, whatever. We got the same food, but we all call something different. We call it something different, yeah. And the same thing, like. I have never tasted African food, and I might have tasted jello fries. I'm like, this tastes like, you know what I mean? So I have in the Caribbean, and it's like we have been taught to kind of have just plotting difference all the time, difference and segregation, rather than looking at the things that bring us together.
I mean, the food is. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I mean the food is one thing, because I mean you can even look in the U.S. like our food is the same, right? It's just a little different based upon what we had to deal with.
I'm gonna let me interject real quick because I know where you're going, Tenisha. But so one of the things, and I'm sticking with food here because I like where you were going with that, Lauren, and I want to talk about the base of things. So yes, It all has to do with colonization. It all has to do with where we were shipped to, where our ancestors ended up, and all of that. The reason why I say that is because I teach an African American studies course on the transatlantic journey of food. Okay. And it's funny that you say that, because one of the things that I teach in my class is I teach about jollof rice. I talk about jollof rice and how jollof rice is an African dish, but it can be made in several different ways throughout the country of Africa. Now, however, it's been translated into an American dish as jambalaya or red beans and rice. Down in the Caribbean,
it's rice and peas.
It's rice and peas. It's all derived from one dish, from jollof rice. So what I hear you guys saying is, what we've done is, because of the way we were colonized, because of the way, and not all of us were colonized. Some of us were, moved. Some of our ancestors moved to these areas, but because of the way where we come from, where we were raised, how we were raised, it doesn't matter if we go to the UK or to the United States. We're still going to clash with each other because we've been told that these people are our enemies. These are the people. It goes back to what Lauren was saying about it goes back to what you were saying about competition. And when I was saying it's in our DNA, why am I, a Black American, competing with a Nigerian? We're both Black.
Right. It's who we're taught as a competition, right? Because the people who get off on this are the colonizers.
I was just going to say,
nobody asking, I'm gonna do Diallo.
Us more though,
right? It's hurting us. Because they are
showing that we
the man's name in New York years ago. I'm gonna do Diallo. Like, there's no. I think he was Haitian. Was unalived by police. People they just look and saw a Black man, right? They didn't say, "Oh, are you Haitian? Oh, are you Jamaican?" You know what I'm trying to say?
That's what I'm saying. So when we strip back all the shit, the one thing that keeps us all exactly the same is our skin color. And it doesn't matter what comes out your mouth or your food that you eat or the music or whatever, the language. You have to understand that no matter where you go, the one thing that is going to keep you together. I mean, don't get me wrong. I find it really sweet when you get, like, definitely here when we're in, like, when we go to UK, and if I'd ever gone on holiday with like a guy or whatever, and they see another Black guy and they go, like,
exactly.
It's like their little bro code thing. And it's because I see you, like, brother, I see you, kind of thing. That's what we need to continue to do. That's the Black love. That's the self-love. Even acknowledgement. I see you. Anything you need, I'm here. If anything kicks off, I'm here. Don't worry, because you know what? Your skin should be enough to say, I got your back.
Yep. And because if you line us all up with each other, you, me, Tenisha, all they gonna see is Black. They're not gonna ask, is Tenisha in France? Is Lauren in the UK? Is Candy in America? No.
But they do external.
Yes.
Do that, and that's what creates the competition internally. Because one person will say, I like her, but she didn't really want to change her hair. Or I like her, but I feel like her skin was too dark. Oh, I liked her, but I feel like her tone was a bit too ghetto. So you've got all these things and when we hear them, all we think is, okay, I don't want to do that because I want to get to the next round, whether that's in life, whether that's success, whatever it is. So the next time, guess what we don't do? We need to make ourselves lighter. We need to make ourselves less ghetto. That's what we do. That's what we do.
I'm going to change the tone in which I speak. I'm going to straighten my hair. I'm going to do something. I'm going to put on makeup so that I look more alike the standards of what you want.
And the only way to stop this is to start doing it yourself. I don't have to look at no acceptance of no one when I own the business. I don't need to do it when I am the business. And that's how you change it, because we're not gonna change it through other people's eyes. You can't change how people. You got to remember, as much as we've been internally damaged, there are white folks that are, that have been raised in a particular way over years and years and don't even understand why they've got prejudice neither. They don't even understand it. They don't even understand why they prefer that
once
to that.
Again, it's ingrained, just like we said how our trauma is ingrained in our DNA. It's ingrained in their DNA as well. Exactly. They don't know why they think the things that they think.
Exactly.
Generational behaviors, generational lessons, things that they.
Why do you think you're going to ever change it? Why do you ever think you're going to get this acceptance?
I don't think we're really looking for acceptance. I think that we have resigned ourselves to know that, like, okay, that folks are going to act a certain way, and that we're not surprised when they act the way we think they're going to act. Because we, like in this country, right? We can say, well, in the U.S., you can say we have a 400+ year history of people acting the same way. Mm-hmm. And if we look at history, it never lies, right?
No,
it's going to be the same way. So even though how people are acting today, right? Like none of us are really surprised by it.
Again, that's why everything that happened in these past couple of days in our political system, no Black person, not even, and I'm going to say this, no Black person of age is surprised by any of this. These younger kids might be surprised by it, but nobody over 40 is surprised by any of this. Everybody over 40 is like, oh, okay, well, let's figure out how we're going to bounce back.
Also, sorry, just what you said about age, do you also think that people in their 20s and their teens are even thinking this way either? Like, do you think that they feel like, you know, there's a problem? Not with political system. I'm just saying, you know, like we're talking about Black love and self-love. Do you believe that young? Because I think they're a lot more fluent. I think they're a lot more.
I think what has happened is we have taught our kids to be open. Our kids don't know what self-love and self-pride look like because we've taught them to be open to all love, all things, and everything that, you know, be open to loving anyone and anybody because of what we've been through. Mm-hmm. So when we say have pride in yourself or love the skin that you're in, that's not their fight the way it was our fight. That's not what they see the way we see it. Yes, they do see the skin, but they are now more acclimated to being a human race than single races. That's why you got so many white kids that's battling with their parents right now too. They're fighting their parents. They're telling their parents how you raised me wasn't right. The things that you did in the past wasn't right. So I think this generation, this younger generation, what are they? Generation Z? Is that them? Alpha? Yeah. What are they called? Whatever they call.
Z. Like what, Z and Alpha or whatever?
I think they see things more so through rose-colored glasses now than we see things. We see the things for what it really is and for the way it really goes down. They're very hopeful, very optimistic. So everything hurts them when it you're muted, Lauren.
Sorry. Where do you think the self-love situation is going to change them? Because do you think that they find that? Because when I look at, no, actually, you know what? There's two sides. Because sometimes I look at some of the Black women online now with the young generation and be like, but they are quite confident. They are very, or are they? Is it a charade?
I don't know. Because see, what I'm seeing online is a little disturbing to me, to be honest with you. But I can't say anything because I think at that age, we all went through those things.
We did.
I think it's a learning aspect. As we grow, as we mature, our views change. The way we see the world changes. We've experienced more things that
I think you've experienced a lot more than what this generation coming up has experienced. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about the racial
absolutely
hate, things that have happened.
They've been raised, yes, they know there are racial undertones, but they don't know what it's like to go to school in a segregated school. They don't know what it's like to be bused to white schools and you live in a Black neighborhood. That happened to me. I'm 40. I'll be 45 this year. And for a majority of my life, my grandmother lived in the hood, but I was too smart for hood schools. So they bused me to the north side of Atlanta to white schools. I never understood why I had to go to school up here, but my cousins could go to school down here. I was like, what is this? Why do I have to do this? And they don't. So they don't know what it's like to be separated. They don't know any of that. So
it's a different experience.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think. Go ahead.
At the same time, we're navigating like we are now like we the aunties. We the aunties,
girl.
Yes.
We the aunties, we the
Yes,
grandma.
we are.
Yeah, we them.
We are.
And
so now I don't know. I don't think sometimes we have conversations we need to have.
But that's what I was saying about it's a tricky situation, because when we were their age, we had the same outlook, the same aspect. You can't dim that. You just got to be there to guide them through that. So that goes towards communal love. It's saying, hey, we know that you have this outlook of life and you're looking at us Generation Xers like y'all got this real fucked up attitude about the world, but you'll get here one day.
Yeah. Keep living.
And when you get here, we're gonna be here along the way to guide you. So when you have a reality break and you realize that the world is not what you think it is, I'm gonna be here as your auntie, as your grandmama, to help you and say, okay, so it's not as bad as it was when I went through it, and it's not as bad as it was when my grandmother went through it. It's just now we've got to figure out how to navigate you through the things.
I think also because there's a massive movement of white women trying to look black, and white men actually try to look black. There's a massive movement. Massive. I mean, this is.
So I'm gonna just say this.
Is that bigger in the UK though?
It ain't just white people. It ain't just white people.
But do you say in the UK is it happening?
I feel like, do you think it's bigger in the UK? Because I feel like they're the ones who do the most. No,
y'all missing it. Y'all missing it. I'm gonna tell y'all who y'all ain't paying attention to.
Who?
The Asians.
Yeah, them as well. But I feel like
they strongly emulate. Yeah, they get afros. They get all of that. Yeah,
but that's what I'm trying to say. Like, but if you think about, because I always compare it to like when the Kardashians kind of came out, and Kim was doing the big butt thing and whatever. But we always had here in the UK like pockets of white women or pockets of different races. I think depending on the area in which you live. So if you lived in a predominantly black area and you was of a different race, you might be leaning over to be maybe doing a bit different. Maybe you would braid your hair. Maybe you would talk a different way.
You got box braids and you speak AAVE.
But that's what I'm saying. So I think because there's a massive movement of that, that's why you don't really have the younger generation looking at themselves a bit, like, whereas I think we grew up in a time where we were relaxing our hair, we were trying to be like the weave movement, everything, everything has really come.
We were assimilating. Yeah.
Yes.
We were assimilating.
I think different conversations are probably going to be had, right? Like you do have the Kardashians, in which we know they cosplay and steal from Black women. Let's just be honest, right? Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a different conversation, I think, where you're based. So I feel like the experience in America is one in which, eventually they're going to go over to the other side. Because
what do you mean when you say that?
The other side, I mean, for the most part, is there are benefits that come with whiteness. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they may have, our communities are pretty much segregated, right? So if you did grow up, let's say you grew up in an all Black area, you may say, well, I grew up with Black people or whatever, but for the most part, even if you grew up with me, right,
be very different.
You still are able to, once you get to college in the corporate world, you can shed all that.
Yep.
That's a costume. Put that up. So I think it's a little, you know what I'm trying to say? It's a little different It's different.
I'm gonna use Lauren's example. Kim Kardashian ain't dating no more black guys.
She white now. She a white woman now.
She's quit now. She's
booty out. The booty
she ain't got no booty no more. She took her booty out. She took all that out. She ain't black no more.
That's the thing that they can do.
Because at one point there was accessories, wasn't it?
She was into the black men. Kanye.
No, we ain't even gonna go. We gonna talk about all her sex tapes with black men. Okay.
Or her who?
All her sex tapes were with black men.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but she's so in front of us, she has rebranded and remodeled her. She's rebranded. Look at her career arc. Ray J, the tapes. She needed that.
Reggie Bush.
Reggie Bush. She needed. They always had money because of her daddy. They always had money, but she didn't have fame. So she uses that, right? She used what she needed to use to get where she needed to get. Not a white woman 2.0 is in full effect.
To use.
Huh?
She used who she needed to use.
Exactly. She used who she needed to use, but we see this all the time.
Yeah.
You know what? When I speak to certain like black men, and I remember, I think we've had Leonard on the show, and we had this same conversation. And what used to really annoy me when you used to speak to like certain men, and they used to say, "Oh, they would date a white woman that was maybe like a 4." But a black woman, they'd be like, "Yeah, I love black women. Like Beyonce is like banging," and you'd be like, "So you will just go for regular Jane down the road, but if it's a black woman, she got to look like Beyonce." Do you get what I mean? It's like
the standard. The standard.
They're not even setting apple to apple. You're setting banana to pineapple.
That goes. Let's talk about couple relationship love. That also has a bearing on black women as well, because we're held to higher standards than white women. We talked about this when we talked about the stereotypes, when we talked about black women being called gold diggers or being sexually explicit, but white women don't get those titles.
No, have you heard about
they do the same thing.
Called Bonnie Blue?
Yeah.
Have you heard about Bonnie Blue in the UK? The lady
called
Blue, right? So there's this lady called Bonnie Blue, and she's just set the world record of having sex with the most amount of men in 12 hours. It was 1,000 men.
She white.
And guess what? Getting this crazy publicity over everything, glamoured up, lovely. Oh my God, she's amazing. Let someone have free baby. Let someone have free baby fathers.
They would have dragged her to filth. They would have talked about the perversion of it all.
Even if she's got 4 baby fathers, she's getting dragged to filth. If she's got 4 baby daddies, she's getting dragged to filth.
Yeah. They never have the same. They never face the same consequences that we
listen.
Do, right?
It's not even just
for their behavior is upheld. So if you're a black woman and let's say you have a lot of children, it's one thing. But if you're a white woman, you get a TV show. What's that nanny show? The not nanny, but the girl, she had like a bunch of kids.
8 plus 8 or
even.
Octo mom.
Yes. So it's always like,
and she was on government assistance and
exactly.
Yeah.
So
but had there been a black woman, the taxpayers paying her way, this, that, and the third.
But once again, look, we never call out. I mean, we never call out. We always look at these people as black women as well. We look at these people and that set the tone, and we never reverse it. We never say, nah, they took from us. When Kim Kardashian's braiding her hair and like, no one calls it out. No,
they did call it out.
They called her out.
Well, not here. That's what I'm saying. That's
the difference. Because I think that we called it out.
Yeah,
we called it out.
Let me say this: black women here don't play that shit. They don't. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Nope.
Yeah, Kim Kardashian was told she was one of the biggest cultural what they call
a culture vulture.
A culture vulture. She's a culture vulture. They have said that she has stolen so much black culture to make herself rich. But that goes back to what I was saying about how self-love for us has to look like something different, because as much as they're telling us that we are not beautiful, we are not this, we are not that. They are emulating everything they are saying is wrong with us to use it to make themselves better and make themselves famous and do that. I saw a video of this white, and I'm going to say she was either Russian or Ukrainian, not real sure where she is. But she started the video with Dear Black Woman, Dear Black Women. And, you know, they got that little trend where they telling Black women all the things that's wrong with them. That's not what she was doing. She started it and she said how I invite you, I love you, I want to tell you that you are beautiful. She said that everything that they say is wrong with you, that we emulate, from your full lips to your big behinds to your beautiful glowing skin. She was literally pouring into Black women and telling Black women that she's jealous of them.
And the thing is, this is why I'm saying we also feel like we need to hear it as well. And that's another thing why we it's constant validation. It's like if someone turns around and says to a white woman, you know what, you got really pretty hair and you know your eyes are really beautiful, she'll probably go, thanks, but she's probably thinking like it's not a big deal, and it shouldn't be reversed neither. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. I think
if you go to certain places in the world, if you're in Africa, this shit is not even a conversation.
So I'm going to say this. It's like being in an abusive relationship. You know how in an abusive relationship, your partner is constantly telling you all the things that's wrong with you. This is wrong with you. That's what's wrong with you. This is what's wrong with you. That's what's wrong with you. You're constantly hearing what's wrong with you. So when you get one compliment, oh, your hair is beautiful today, that's like everything in the fucking world for you. That's like, oh my God, my hair. Okay, so finally, so now you start doing your hair this way all the time. Or if your partner says to you, oh, I like the dress that you have on, and he's constantly telling you how your body is bad and this, that, and third. So you find something that your partner likes, and you're constantly trying to assimilate or wear something very similar to that all the time.
Right. So yeah, but I would really, Cami, I'd really love to get a lady who is in Ghana, in Nigeria,
but they deal with the same thing. You want me to tell you why?
Actually living there now and say, they might do, but is it a racial thing? No, or is it a class thing? A societal thing?
This young woman, I think she was, where was she from? I want to say Nigeria. I know she was definitely from a country in Africa. And what she said was she didn't feel Black until she moved from Africa because everyone looked like her.
Yeah.
Everyone there looked like her. They moved like her.
Let me say this. They got their own set of issues.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah, they got colonizational ways. Now they're bleaching their skin.
Yeah. And class. But what I'm saying, you can have skin tone, you can have class and whatever. But what I'm saying is that the racism, you're not getting hired because you're Black. You're not getting hired because of this. I think in certain places where
not in all parts of Africa, but I would believe that South Africa probably deals with some of the same things.
Why?
Why
in South Africa?
Because
I went to South Africa for the first time in August. And I love the country. It reminds me, honestly, a lot of, if I closed my eyes, I would think I was in America, right?
I knew you was going to say that.
Because I'm telling you, like, it really did.
I knew you were going to say that.
But, and as warm as the people are, I love the people. The food is amazing. The prices were great. The problem I had is that you can still see, like, that apartheid. Because if you go we went to Cape Town, and if you go 2 to 3 hours outside of Cape Town, not even 2 to 3 hours, an hour, all the affluent areas, I don't see any of us. No. We're only working.
But I don't see them take yourself to a country that I wouldn't say, because nowhere you go in the world is going to have a level playing field. Yeah, there's always the haves and the have-nots. South Africa is definitely out of this race because I put South Africa on par with Europe and America.
With the UK and with the United States, yeah.
Exactly. But if you're looking at other parts, like Nigeria, Ghana, even them to some degree, but like I said, you know, you're looking at, you know, Ethiopia and certain, no, like you've just got the haves and the have-nots. I get it. But no one's not calling you out of your skin. No one's not saying to you, you're not going to be lining up with four other people and only 2 of you look black and 2 of you look white. All of you are going to have the same skin tone. It just is who's going to get that job.
Yeah, but I think that's a slight difference though. It's kind of like, why is there only one Trevor Noah? Right? Like he's the one who quote unquote made it out, right? Where are the other? Where is the middle class in some of these countries?
I don't want to make it out. This is the other thing. Listen, I've been to certain parts of the world where no one wants to come. Back in the years ago, people used to think the US, Canada, and the UK were the promised land, right? And they couldn't wait to get there. You go certain parts of the world now. Jamaica, when I go Caribbean, back in the day, I used to go to Jamaica. They used to say, boy, you're lucky. You know, they couldn't wait to get to the UK. If they ever get a chance, you know, it's like golden ticket. Mm-hmm. You ask them now, as long as they got a job and they can afford to feed their family, they don't want to leave. They don't want to leave. They've seen what these countries are like, and they say, it's not for us. They're not. So remember, it was the fantasy. And what happens is when they get to these countries, so if you had like I don't know, you had someone, a nurse, and she managed to make it out. She made it to America. And, you know, to her, it's a big deal. You know, people back at home, yeah, my sister's in New York. She'll make money, this, that, and the other. It's all good, right? Then what would happen is that the one that's in New York is like, shit, I miss home. It's not what I thought it was going to be. They're just getting caught in this financial wheel, where they make the money, but they spend the money. They make the money, but they're not happy. So now you take that now and you can do the same thing in your country where it's warm and it's happy and you've got the food and the fruits and the natural, but you might not make as much money. They're starting to weigh that up and understand now. So I don't think people are so quick to run from their countries as much as they were before. Definitely not here to the UK. Like,
wait, we running from the US
exactly.
and the UK.
No, but it's the truth. And you know what's caused that, Cammie? The internet. The internet has allowed people to really see things for what they are. You know, we didn't have this much communication before.
Now that goes back to the discussion that we had before the show, where we were talking about freedom of speech and why Americans are so focused on TikTok right now. And I say that's because TikTok gives us a state of freedom that we are not allowed on other social media. So let's circle this all back up with Black love. We've talked about self-love. We've really talked about communal love, and even though I'm going to say we talked about romantic love a little bit, we have touched on it. But how can Black women and men, let's look at this. Let's go to relationship love right now. How can Black women and men work together to foster deeper understanding and partnership, not only in their relationships, but in the community as well?
I think, remember I told you about the head nod, you know, when you go away on holiday. I think it's seeing each other and without judgment. You know, with judgment attached to something. Look at her, you know, look at her butt. Like, what did she do to her hair? Like, she, you know, that's what we're used to. So I think if we can clean the slate and start just looking at our fellow man and woman, Black man and Black woman, for the positives and understanding what they go through and what we go through on a daily basis, the bare minimum is respect. You know, whether you agree, disagree with whatever lifestyle or whatever they're doing, not doing, the basic that when I see you and you see me and the world sees us, we're all in the same pot.
So pretty much like, you know how when you're in a family and you've got siblings, and what you're saying is when we see each other out in the street, we siblings, which means that we fight for each other, we go hard for each other. But if we fighting at home, that's our business.
Well, yeah, like that's it. That's how it's got to be, and we need to stop looking for, like I said, acceptance. Because the moment we become strong, if someone says, if you get a person outside, or not even outside, but if you get two people that are commenting on another black person or a black female, black male in a negative connotation, a negative way, guess what? You're going to give someone else a bit of power, a bit more power, because that's how, between ourselves, we're doing that. So they're looking, saying they ain't got a hope in hell because they don't even respect themselves. They don't even appreciate themselves.
You're right.
So why should we?
I think it's a dangerous slope, because I think that respectability politics are always going to be complicated, right? Meaning, we never win with that conversation because these folks don't respect us anyway. There's nothing we can do to get them to respect us more. There's nothing we can do. We've done that. So
we have to respect each other.
I think that's right, but that's a different conversation to me. Like, that's a different conversation, because then the focus is different. The focus is on us. It's not on them. Right. So that's where it kind of has to be, because at this point, it's all about each other. These folks are going to feel this way. We are not going to be able to convince nobody to treat us as a human being, or to treat us with self-respect. I'm saying from the other side. Now it's got to be all about how we treat each other, because we're the most important link.
Yeah. And what you're saying about link, if you get one link and you get another link, I've paid you a compliment and I see you.
Right.
Yeah. I see the strengths in you and I'm feeding into you. That's another one. And someone else comes in and someone else has done something to, you've moved on and someone else has done. Before you know it, the external can't break the links. Right. The problem we got, that we can never build those. Someone's always going to break it before we've built enough to be strong enough. You know what I mean? That's why they did what they did. That's why they separate. When you think about the Caribbeans and the Africans and the Americans, everyone's at war about what happened. You sold us off. You done this. You done that. You're not better than us. You were the part of the.
I have a question for you guys. I think this sort of goes back to what we were saying about healing. Do you think that healing comes from, if we build our communal love, that'll feed into our relationship love and our self-love, the aspects of self-love and relationship love, or intimate love? Meaning, if we focus more on building our communities and making sure we love our communities and love ourselves within our communities, and that's across the scale. That's me being a Black American, loving a Nigerian, loving a Caribbean, loving a Brazilian, but we're all Black. And do you think that would add more to how we love ourselves and how we love our mates?
Do you think that when you speak to people of Oriental, Asian, you have to have that discussion?
That's a very good question, because I don't think you do.
You go Korea, you go to Vietnam, you go to all these places. You don't have to have these discussions.
Well, see, I think it goes back to culture. Culturally, it's very different. They have their culture and traditions.
Yeah, we don't.
And I think we have them, but they're different. They're splintered. They're different. Yeah. So they have their culture and traditions, and no one is going to necessarily change that. When you even talk about like love, in the cases of some of these cultures, they don't play that in terms of marrying.
Yeah, they have a prearranged marriage. Okay, they marry.
What do they do in certain African cultures, though?
Yeah, but okay, so it's like, how here in the United States we have what are those people? Amish, and they have Rum Kipper, where they go out and they, find freedom and do all that, then they go back to their community. I think that's pretty much how a lot of Asians and a lot of Indians run their households. I think they go, they play, they have fun, and then they come back home and they know that they have to follow tradition. Nobody's questioning an Asian mother about how hard she is on her child when it comes to education, because they've come to understand that that's just how Asian mothers are when it comes to their children. But they would question us in a heartbeat.
But we've already spoken about, if you need to topple down the biggest threat globally, you need to take down the strongest. And what is that? Who is that?
That's us.
You have to take it down.
You got to dismantle it, and that's what they done.
Everything else, that's it.
Yeah, so the thing is divide and conquer, and they've clearly conquered us because of the division that is between all of us. Tenisha, you on mute.
My bad. So going back to your example.
I'm watching her mouth just do this.
I know, her mouth moving. But I mean, going back to your examples though, like you look at some Asian American cultures, they're very much matriarchal. Yeah. You know how Korean mama is? Like
that's what I'm
saying. But it's just viewed differently.
Yeah. Nobody calls them strong Asian women.
Exactly.
Okay. Nobody says that they have aggressive behavior. Okay.
Exactly.
They don't hear that. That's what we have to deal with. That plays on our psyche as well, because that also plays on how we show up, because that's the things that's being said about us.
Yep. Absolutely.
If you took a human being and you gave her one box, and that box was family, and then you gave her another box, and that's career, and you gave her another box, which is abuse, and you gave her another box, and you just kept giving her these boxes, and she's holding all these boxes, and she's still walking, and you got all these people that are like, how the hell is she still walking with all the boxes that she's holding? And you give someone else one box, and they find it very hard to walk with that one box. Yeah. Who are you going to be trying to emulate? Who are you going to try and bring down? You're not going to bring down the person with the one box. They have no use. If you need someone to continue to hold all them boxes for you, guess what? You're going to make it possible so they continue to hold all them boxes.
And guess who's holding all them boxes for you?
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that if you need something to keep happening, if I need, like, I tell you what, if I've got we talk about relationships. A lot of the time when you've got abusive relationships, that one person will break the other person down because they're so scared of losing them. Not because of anything else, because they're scared of losing them. So if that's happening on a scale of intimacy and a relationship, you can imagine what on a bigger scale, a global scale, financial scale, like everything you can think of, what is happening to Black women.
Yeah. That's what I said. I said our relationship with the world is like being in a relationship with an abuser. We get told we're this all the time. So when we finally get a little praise and a little love, it's like all the world to us. And that goes back to what you said about validation. Who do we need validation from? And why do we need validation? We need the validation because we've been abused for so long that we need our part. This is like you being in a relationship, or you're in your relationship and your partner telling you, Lauren, I don't like this, I don't like that. But you need those words of affirmation from your partner. You do. And that's the relationship that Black women have with the world. The only reason we need validation for self-love is because we've been told so often what we're not and what's not accepted and what's not acceptable for us and how we don't fit into this box and we're this and we're that. We're strong, we're emotional, we're aggressive. Your hair is too thick, your hair is too curly, your hair is too nappy, your skin is too dark, your body shape is too voluptuous, you're just all of that. It's been that. But when you look at it, when you really look at it, I can honestly tell you I love myself. The reason why I love myself is because I see you trying to be like me.
But you've got, this is a handful of people. You got to convince many, many, many millions of women, and that's the other side.
Yeah, and the message doesn't go across as well all the time. Here's the thing. This message that we're talking about, this podcast, isn't going to be heard in some small towns. there's a little Black girl somewhere being ridiculed because of her hair. And it's not until she leaves the area that she's in, whether she's in Africa, whether she's in the UK, whether she's in America, whether she's in Australia, it's not until she gets outside of that environment and she grows up that she's going to learn to have a strong appreciation for her hair and who she is. Like we pay so much homage to our African ancestors that here in America, we go and we find the hairstyles from Africa that look like the hairstyles that we're now wearing, the afros, the Bantu knots, the cornrows, all of those derive from Africa. So we pay homage to Africa in our hairstyles, even though that may not be where we're from, because yes, we all can find that 1 to 10% of African sub-Saharan in our blood because that's where all man derives from. But if I'm being honest with you, I'm an American. I was born here. I'm a mutt, to be exact, if I'm being honest with you. I'm what Africans would call a mulatto. That means I'm a mix of a lot of different things. My grandmother is half white, half black. My other grandmother's half Indian, half black. My grandfathers were 100% black. So when you mix all of that together, I'm just as American as the white man, and the white man ain't American.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got more American in me from Native American blood than they do. Yeah, so, but my heritage comes from Africa. So I pay homage to Africa in my hairstyle. I celebrate Africa in everything that I do. We talk so much about this Pan-African movement and, us going back to Africa and this, that, and the third. But then we talk about how our kids don't know their own heritage. That's because literally we're in a country where our history's been wiped out. We've been brainwashed. We've been told these different things. And our children are growing up confused.
Yes.
They are growing up confused. They're confused about their race. They're confused about their gender. They're confused about their sexuality. They're confused about everything. And instead of us saying, hey, let's pull together, we have Black schools here. We've got HBCUs. We've got Black high schools. We got Black charter schools. We have that here in America. We do.
We don't have.
Yeah, it's up to us to have a global movement, not just a national movement, because just like you stated in the beginning of our show, when George Floyd was affected, what it showed was that this is not an American thing. This is a global thing. That's why it's so important for me with this platform to make sure people understand that I'm not just an American woman talking. I'm talking with a woman who lives in London. She's from London, from the UK, born and raised there. I'm talking with another woman who is American but lives in France. She's absorbed this culture. She's living there. So this is now a global movement. So we've got to figure out a way as a people to say, okay, yes, I'm doing it here in America, but we need to pass the same structure, the same game plan, the same business plan along to the people in the UK, along to the people in South America, along to the people in the Caribbean. We got to transition. So when Lauren says, if I see you when we out, we together, that we really are together.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
I know. I'm sorry. That was an old sermon right there. All right. That's our hour. We've been an hour and a half. But listen, Black love. Let's get some closing words so I won't feel like I did a whole sermon. What advice would you give to someone who is searching for love while trying to stay true to themselves and their values?
Good question. I just think it's being introspective. It's learning as much as you can about yourself. It's learning the ways in which people have tried to tell you you should not love yourself and making a conscious decision to do otherwise.
Good one.
Good
one. Okay, Lauren, what about you?
Like I said, just, build your own. Don't wait for no one to build you up. Build your own. Build your own with people that look like you, and build your own that make decisions for people around you. You can only join forces when you're in a strong position. And I think when you're in a strong position and you join forces, nothing's impossible. Black love will just automatically grow from it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's stair steps to this, like I was saying earlier. And just from having this conversation, what it has pointed out to me is that I thought it needed to start with self-love, but I don't think it needs to start with self-love anymore. I actually think it needs to start with communal love. I think it needs to be a love for your community, for your environment, for who you are, from where you're from, and all of that first. And then it'll branch into self-love and into relationship love. Because as we know, you have to love yourself in order to love anybody else. But you need to love your community so you can understand how to love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. I feel like I've been preaching today.
The doors of the church are open. Listen, we're going to have some tithes and offerings in a minute.
Listen, I'm about to pass the collection plate. Okay.
Right, pass the plate.
Passing it from me, through me.
Pass the plate.
All right, ladies, this wraps up another episode of the Dear Black Woman podcast. We were so grateful that you guys joined us today. Today's episode was about Black love, and I want to thank you all for joining us for this episode. We hope today's conversation has inspired you to celebrate Black love in all its forms, whether it's love yourself, love your partner, love your family, or just loving your community. Special thanks again to my co-hosts, Lauren and Tenisha, for their insight, and to you, our listeners, for your continued support. Also, shout out to Rabbit Production for the music for our intro and outro of our show. And if anything that we've said today resonates with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review, leave a comment, follow us on social media, stay connected. Although we are on all social media, just know that social media is going through a change, so we may not be as active. However, please support us. We are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, we are currently on TikTok, and we are on Instagram. Dear Black Woman Media, Dear Black Woman Book, Dear Black Woman, and you will see us all there. Until next time, take care of your heart, love yourself fiercely, and remember, Black love matters.
Bye.